scary.
Okay. Is that better? Can you hear me better?
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. I love it.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
And we are forgetting where my camera is.
We are live.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I talked about being so professional and organized this time, and I just hit the live button on them. You know. Well, hello. Hello everyone. Welcome to Classy Chicks of Vintage Flicks. I am Jennifer from A Vintage Vanity, and with me, as always, are the classiest of chicks, Heather from How to Be Fancy.
Hey guys.
And JL from Modern Retro Gal.
Hey everybody.
And our special guest tonight is Colleen, better known as Tipsy Vixen.
Hi. Not that you.
I know it's bizarre that she's not in frame with me. Mm-hmm. She's supposed to be in frame, but you know, what are you gonna do? Tonight we are talking about Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte from Charlotte. Yeah, that's how we're pronouncing it now. From 1964. And as we go, you know, we love hearing your thoughts, guys. So go ahead and type them in the comment section as we go. We love talking to you guys in the chat. And we've already got some fun people in the chat tonight. We have Friday Ketchup, spelt with a K, like the squirty ketchup. And she is I'm assuming, I don't know why I am connecting ketchup is a female product. Mustard seems like it would be male. I don't know why.
It's like Danny DeVito. Ketchup is Rhea Perlman.
There you go. But Friday Ketchup, it's his first time being able to make the live show. Miss Margaret is here again. So hello, Miss Margaret. Yolanda from Bombshell Beauty is here, as well as Celac Kitten and Roxy Rocket, along with My Living Journal and Samantha Garrett. I feel like we haven't seen Samantha lately, so good to see you back, my friend. And Delilah Lopez has joined us. So hello, peoples.
Hiya.
These are not, my fingers look very stubby today.
Jazz fingers.
Here, there we go. There we go. Jazz fingers. Stubby jazz fingers, regular jazz fingers. All right, so this week, giving us a little bit of background information and fun facts about the movie is going to be JL.
It'll probably be more fun facts because all my research got thrown away.
Well, at least your dog didn't eat it.
Oh, that's what you meant by Matt threw out your notes. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, ladies, if you guys have any of your other fun facts that you know of, go ahead and post them in the comment section as below.
Yeah, I printed out the trivia from IMDb because he threw away all my notes for the movie that I took, like all of it, research, everything. So I was feverishly trying, which is why I was still doing foundation 5 minutes ago. So this movie came out in 1964. It was directed by Robert Aldrich. It was actually nominated for 7 Oscars. It did not win any, but it was nominated. And our cast of characters is Bette Davis as Charlotte Hollis, Olivia de Havilland as Miriam. I'm having a really hard time reading my handwriting. Joseph Cotton as Dr. Drew Bayless, Agnes Moorehead as Velma Cruther, Victor Buonasera. It's Buono, like how are you supposed to pronounce that? As Big Sam Hollis, Mary Astor as Jewel Mayhew, and Bruce Dern as John Mayhew, which I believe is Laura Dern's father. Mm-hmm. I was trying to figure it out, and it says he has kids, but it never goes anywhere to where the kids are, but I'm pretty sure that's Laura Dern's father. So everyone, except for me, everyone else has seen.
Colleen hasn't seen it. You're not the only one.
I've seen it.
Okay, so me and
you
Colleen.
did?
Yeah, I watched it recently. I watched it last week, actually.
Never mind, JL. It is just you.
Hey, I'm the only one. So
Outsider!
Sorry!
I haven't gotten to it yet, and I have to rent the whole season. They can't just have it on reruns on TV like normal shows.
Yeah.
Anyway, so everybody knows from seeing that there was a lot of drama behind the scenes with this movie. Originally, Joan Crawford was cast as Miriam, and I don't have my notes anymore, so I don't remember exactly what caused her final exit. It seemed like she was ill for a while or something.
She got sick.
Yeah.
It was from the stress of the ordeal.
Well, if Feud is to be believed, her sickness was more due to the fact that she did not like that Betty was, what was it, a co-producer, and she didn't like Betty telling her what to do and how to act. So in a form of protest, she made herself sick so she wouldn't technically be breaking her contract.
And apparently Aldrich was giving her a really hard time too. So she was getting it from all sides when shooting this movie.
Yeah, and from what I can see in the trivia that I printed out, Betty took great pleasure in sort of sticking it to Joan anytime she could. Like when they first showed up for to where they would be staying while they were shooting, Joan was not happy with her accommodations, and it was kind of basically told to her that, well, that's just kind of how it is. And then she turned around and looked across the way and saw that Betty had like accommodations than she did. So there was, you know, a lot of that going on behind the scenes. And then when Robert Aldrich finally decided that they were going to cut Joan loose and bring in Olivia de Havilland, he told Betty Davis and basically said, wait until I've called Joan's rep, basically, to let them know that things are done. So, of course, Betty Davis, being Betty Davis, called her press agent, who leaked it to the papers. That's how Joan found out.
Yeah.
So there's things like, by the time Olivia de Havilland got there, some of the scenes had already been shot. So the scenes with Joan had already been shot. So they actually used some of that footage, like when Miriam comes in the car onto the compound, you see the back of her, and that's actually Joan Crawford. They used that clip. And then once she pulls around and gets out of the car, then they cut to Olivia de Havilland. So they actually used some of the footage with Joan in it when it was just like the back of her head. I don't know if she got credit, screen credit for that, but she's in there. I was trying to see if there was anything else really funny, because I don't want to take up too much time, because a lot of this is we'll discuss.
While you're looking at that, we do have some more people that came in. We have Carly Douglas came by, Samantha Workman. Samantha Garrett says she's been off busy making quilts. That's why we haven't seen her. Lot of people from Australia, Georgia, Virginia, North Carolina, Oregon, South Carolina. The Retro Hippie Girl is here with us tonight, as well as Simiju, Smiju. I slaughtered that. I am so sorry. Your fake dead head for your name is just rolling by. And she's all excited because we're her work break. I love that she's spending her break with us. The League of Decency is here with us tonight. We missed her very much. Glad to see Emily is out tonight. And Dizzy Makeup Girl is here as well. And I think that I hope I didn't miss anybody. But yeah, while we're talking as well, you guys in the comments, why don't you go ahead and start letting us know your thoughts on the movie before we actually get to our thoughts. So that way we know if we're getting fleeced.
A couple more interesting tidbits. Because Miriam came in so late in the game, there was no time to redo the costumes. So most of the came in to take over Miriam's character. Most of the costuming that you see is actually Olivia's personal wardrobe. There was like no time to refit her, so those clothes were her clothes. This is actually the second picture in the row that Olivia de Havilland stepped in for a role originally for Joan Crawford. The other one was she played the lead in Lady in the Cage in 1964 that Crawford bowed out doing that one. And what was the other? There's a couple of other funny ones. Oh, this one. So apparently Bette Davis and Olivia de Havilland got along because they had a Ding Dong the Witch is Dead party where they toasted Crawford's outing drinking Coca-Cola. And if you understand who Joan Crawford was married to, get the irony in this, because at the time she was married to the president of Pepsi Cola.
It's so good.
And there's some really, if you look it up, there's some really great photos of that moment where they're all around a giant like Coca-Cola cooler, and it's like Aldrich, like the whole cast holding a Coca-Cola.
Well, I think they've even gone so far as to install competing vending machines on the site too for filming. Joan
Betty would only
Pepsi
drink Coke
machines.
on. Yeah, so I could go on, but I want to keep things rolling because I know we'll get more into this as the conversation goes along.
Oh, there's so much good backstory to this movie, that is for sure.
Yeah.
And Friday Ketchup says, meow, catty much with that ding-dong party.
Right.
It was, but you know, after the whole whatever happened to Baby Jane Oscars, like, debacle, it's like, you cannot... Colleen lives next to a very busy road in the city, just so, in case you're curious. That was not her intestinal.
Just went by. Summer.
So, yeah. So you can almost understand how it goes from them disliking each other to this total, just like meow, cat fighty type vindictiveness. And I love that our people in the comments are already talking about one of my biggest gripes with the movie, and I think you guys are going to agree, but it is the 60s hair set in a 20s time period. Look at Heather!
It took me half of the beginning of the whole movie just to get over that. I was really upset about it. I mean, I know we things like that all the time, but I feel like the 60s and the 80s were the biggest culprits of doing that with period films.
Absolutely.
And it makes me laugh, but also like really annoying.
Yes. So Friday Ketchup says, "Are you sure it's not Daytona?"
Sometimes it sounds like it.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing up on the agenda for the evening is, of course, what did we think of the movie? And for those of you that have watched it, in the comments, let me know. I believe Dizzy Makeup Girl said it's one of her favorite atmospheric films ever. So let us know as we're discussing. I'm gonna start off with, oh hell, I'm gonna pick on Colleen. Colleen, what did you think of the movie?
I actually love this movie so hard. Like, it's one of my favorites because it's kind of so campy, even though they were going for a really gory, scary movie for the first time. Like the cheesy head rolling through scenes and the obviously fake rubber hand in the doorway. But I really like it, and I have to agree with Makeup Girl. I like the atmospheric feel of it. It's really spooky and kind of creepy from the get-go in the credits to the end, and you don't know what to expect from it. A ghost story, a murder whodunit. So it's a favorite of mine. So I'm really excited that Classy Chicks got around to it.
Okay. I will go next. And it's funny because in the thing that I sent to everybody, I was like, "How thoughts on the movie? Would you push a planner on it?" A lot of planner pushing. I didn't care for it very much. I actually fell asleep during it. I thought. Now, I am going to preface this by saying that the acting was, for what it was phenomenal. I mean, Bette Davis is going to slay it every time with the acting. I thought Olivia de Havilland was just perfect in her utter sweetness, belaying that evil part character of her. So I really loved the way she played it. I also loved Agnes Moorehead. She was my favorite thing about the movie. My biggest gripe probably with this movie, it was too goddamn long. I felt like it dragged out more than it did necessarily need to. So I think that's what made me disconnect from it a little bit, because the pacing just wasn't on. I wanted to like it more, and there were moments that I really liked. I felt like the story was good. It was good. I mean, the story's good, but it was too much. It was too drawn out. It was too, they just, So I really hate to say that I probably will not go back and ever watch this movie again. I might watch clips of it for the funny ha-has or the great parts. But yeah, I'm glad I saw it, but I do prefer Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And not just because it was Bette and Joan. So yeah, so sorry. No, please. No, please. I don't think Mary's here today, so no, please. But after that, Heather, take it away.
Hey, let's bring it down a notch. Yeah, because honestly, I didn't really enjoy it that much either. And for a lot of the same reasons. But I think for me, it felt like, and after like reading kind of backstory and then Feud and then watching Baby Jane, it felt to me like a formula movie. Come across like a film, like we have, this is a really bad example, but it's all I can think of. But like, so you've got Twilight, and then you have all of these vampire books that come out because Twilight was such a huge success. And although Twilight was campy and whatever, all of these other things are no better, and they're just like this weird imitation. And to me, that's what this felt like. Now, setting that aside, I think that I really like Bette Davis in this film. Her acting is always going to be like, and I think that the way that it's shot is a really, you guys know I hate like scary films, so I was definitely like had that little like cold sweat. It did have its desired effect as far as like a campy horror film kind of goes, but I think they build it as a gothic horror, which to me it didn't feel like at all. And so I think in those aspects it did a good job of like doing what it was supposed to do. But again, I got incredibly bored in the middle of it. I got really confused, and I feel like it's weird for a movie that's that long to be very confusing. So overall, I felt like they were trying too hard almost with it. There were parts that I loved. I loved Agnes. Like, I think for the first probably almost half the beginning of the movie, I didn't even realize it was her because I hadn't looked up anything. I just kind of started watching it, and I'd never seen it before. And I kept thinking, oh, I love this lady. And then I was like, wait a minute. Is that Agnes Moorehead? And then like made me love it all the more. So I think she was one of the only like redeeming factors of the film for me. And I think she actually got nominated for an Oscar in this.
A Golden Globe. Well,
a Golden Globe.
I think she won the Golden Globe, but I think she did also get.
I think she might have
the Oscar.
She was one of the only ones nominated in the film. I think the music also. I think musically, this is a strong early. We didn't have a lot of soundtrack kind of movies during this era, and so I think it's a really good example of when music began to play like a really strong role in film, and so I think for that reason I liked it. But yeah, overall, probably will not pick it back up.
All right, JL?
Okay, so I thought I was going to be the only one.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Colleen. Okay. I watched it, and from like the opening like 5 minutes of this movie, I was just like, dear God, what is happening? Of course, again, I love Bette Davis, Olivia de Havilland. I love Agnes Moorehead in it. I think their three characters were very strong. I think that Bette Davis played her character very well. The issues that I had is that I felt like the concept of the storyline was too similar to Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. The fact that the movie was originally called Whatever Happened to Cousin Charlotte, and then Whatever Happened to Baby Jane came out, so they changed the name of the movie. So it was very obvious that there was some sort of like crossover with these two movies, which you see that happening nowadays. But
yeah.
the fact that it was the same main actress playing in both movies that's so similar, it was just kind of, they were like, oh, hey, this one worked out really well, so let's just kind of do it again. I think personally, actually, what would have made it better was, one, it should have been definitely a little bit shorter. Number two, they should have kept going with the campy horror and like the ridiculous like chopping up of bodies. Like that either needed to keep going with the movie, or it just needed to take a step back and be a serious psychological thriller. I think had they done one of those two things instead of trying to mesh them both not very well, it would have made this film. They just could have kept going. Like, Agnes could have gotten chopped up, or, after she got found out trying to sneak Charlotte out of the house, like they could have taken this another way to really kind of keep you engaged in the movie, because I did feel like there was a very large section of the movie that got boring. And I was like, why isn't Velma calling the police, telling them that this person that she works for is being abused by her family? It was the same issue that I had with Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. I'm like, why isn't anybody why is she trying to call for help? Like, why is nobody helping this person? It made me crazy. It's the storyline. It's, whoever was like in charge of like the storyline, they didn't quite get there. Like they had this concept and it just wasn't executed well. So I agree. It was something that was very difficult for me to watch. Not because I found it scary, but I just found it like, when is something going to happen? I was like, what is the point of this movie? And at the end, I just felt like the ending was a colossal letdown. Like
it wasn't it wasn't as strong of an ending as other movies of the genre.
Like what I was just like, I don't even understand. Like, she sends the planter off the thing, kills her cousin and the other dude, and then she like leaves the house because they repossessed it. Like what?
Well, I think they might have been taking her off to jail. I don't know.
No, she was leaving. Yeah. Like she had a suitcase. It was like her own volition. Like,
well, then
I didn't really
gives her the letter.
I just felt like, I don't know. I just overall felt like it was very weak in general, in a lot of ways.
And it's a very depressing movie when you think about it. Because, I mean, even at the beginning of the movie, which, by the way, okay, I'm going to go off on a tangent really quick here. In the show, The Feud, there was the whole scene, I know, JL, you haven't seen it, where Bette Davis is talking to Robert about the opening of the movie, that she really thinks it should open with her. And he ended up doing his original idea. And I think somebody had mentioned it, because we are going to check in on the comment section in a little bit. And I know somebody had mentioned something about like that opening scene just taking so long, Because to me, the opening to me that would have worked good was those kids. Go in the creepy house. And I thought, what a great way to start the film and then backtrack into the story. That would have been such a more powerful way to start the film.
Like the hand chopping, that all could have been flashbacks or something. Like it didn't have to be like the first, I don't know, it felt like half hour of the movie, and even though it was probably only like 5 or 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I almost feel like we didn't need to meet her father.
Even though it was from Baby Jane, and I kind of love him, but it was weird that he was playing her dad, I guess, also to me. Like, that was super weird that, I don't know.
Okay, Kitty. She's like, look, Mom, I'm helping.
This is what I found in the movie. All right, so going to check in really quick with the comment section. Miss Margaret said she was very confused with the timeline. The 20s looked like the 60s, and the 60s somehow looked like the 20s. And Emily couldn't focus because she was trying to figure out, like, where is this taking place? Because oddly enough, I was also trying to figure out, we're going to pause it here, talk about not just the hair, but the clothing in this film. That whole like ball scene, it seemed very Civil War era-ish with 60s heads on top of it. None of it read the 20s. The only like reference they really make is the fact that it's prohibition. And I'm like, oh, it's the 20s. I would have never have guessed that. But I do have to say some of my favorite wardrobe in the film was actually Olivia de Havilland, which makes sense seeing as how it was her personal collection. But for any of you, did any of the fashion or design of the film make an impact at any point?
I happen to know that the wardrobing in the very beginning drove me nuts too, because it's like, how could you? A lot of these people working in film probably used to work in film, I don't know, or knew someone who did in the 20s. I don't know. It's just not that hard. It wasn't that long ago. They could have managed it. In fact, but I think I got struck with the fact that as soon as I saw Charlotte's dress at the party this time around, I was like, wait, that looks just like Ginger's dress in that Flutter of the Heart movie that we watched. I'm like, is that the same dress? Did they go there?
Which I think, well, no, Heartbeat was early 40s, I think. So it still wouldn't have been time appropriate.
And it was just sort of goofy how they had this obviously much younger actress and they didn't show you her face ever, but she had Betty Davis's voice, which sounded way too old.
They did show her face at one point near the end of the ballroom scene. Yeah, and that was just very bizarre. Yeah. I think I even made a note about that.
Was weird.
Yeah. It was obvious that was Betty Davis is too old to play herself in this young of a character. So instead of finding a young actress to play Charlotte Young, they just voiced over Betty Davis' voice.
Which was weird. It's like, just, we get it. It's not going to be Betty. It's fine. We understand she's an old lady now. Just show us a face. And I feel like
But I do love that throughout the rest of the movie, like,
or on the roof.
Charlotte's very much like Mrs. Havisham. Like the rest of the movie, she's in all these like pretty party dresses with these like little braids. It's like she's crazy. Like she's stuck in that time, and so I think they did a great job of doing that.
Well, that's where I kept getting confused because she's in like these 50s gowns with like 1800s hair. I have no idea what era we're in.
They were going for like young girl hair. I don't know, but yeah.
But here's the most the thing that floors me the most. I want to say, someone might want to Google me, but I think they got nominated for costume design.
Heather's just like, no, girl, no.
I didn't write down what the 7 nominations were. I don't have it on this printout.
I think one of them was for music because of the original song for the movie.
Music I can see.
Accolades. Yes. Hush received Academy Award nominations for the following: Best Supporting Actress for
Well,
Agnes.
they didn't win.
Best, no. Best Art Direction, Best Black and White Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, Best Song, and Best Costume Design, Black and White.
That was for Olivia's personal wardrobe collection.
Yeah.
Well, she probably made up for a lot of shortcomings there.
Oh, it was good. All right. So, getting back to our friends in the comment section, Miss Mary Margaret. I added the Mary. It's just Miss Margaret. She did like it better than Baby Jane. Friday Ketchup said it was such a mind twist of a film. She loved that. So, Colleen, you are not alone. Disney Makeup Girl loves how creepy it gets in parts, and the head rolling is just too ridiculous. Friday Ketchup, and this is before we were even talking about it or now, but how they kept Betty's face in the dark. And she's talking about the bloody dress, how she walks in with just that little blood spot right here, which did anybody else do the thing where they were like, well, base said blood splatter when you kill somebody. She obviously didn't kill him because then her dress would have been much.
And her face and hair.
I think she found him like that or something. Oh, thanks a lot, Kat. Somebody just went in the box, which are about 2 feet my leg.
Yeah, nice. Dizzy Makeup Girl says, truth, it is long, but I love it. I love it, but long. Yolanda said the acting was great, a lot of cheese. Amelia obviously is here. Hi.
Yay.
I feel like I haven't seen you for a while. She said it was pretty long. She got distracted by other things while watching it, but she did enjoy it. Miss Margaret said it was too campy. The soundtrack killed her. I think killed her in a good way. Yolanda is like, do you think it was drawn out because it took so long to film because they were having issues with Joan? No, I think it's probably just an editing issue, to be honest.
Although there was one instance, a couple actually, where like it had gotten to the point where Joan wouldn't talk to Robert Aldrich. So like Joan's hair guy had to go back and forth to relay messages. And apparently they would start filming and just not let her hair guy know. And then she'd find out like at lunch that they'd already started.
Oh.
So, I mean, just the like really shitty, like backstabby behavior probably did slow things down. They probably shot themselves in the foot that way.
Well, I mean, honestly, I feel like a lot of times you only had so much power in certain situations like that, especially when you're a contract player. Like you didn't really have a lot of options and a lot of say in a lot of things. So it was kind of, in certain ways, your only way of rebelling within the confines of your contract. Which is weird.
I think like with this particular film and that in terms of that, Betty came in early and got as much control as she could. She was making like 3 times as much as Joan would have been making. She, so I think Joan was using whatever tools she thought she had. And
Blanket Fort Adventures says she's excited to be joining her first since September of 2016. Friday Catch Up thinks Agnes was brilliant as well. Miss Margaret loves that bucktooth kid in the beginning. She was like, is this going to start with a kid murder? Oh. Disney Makeup Girl's like, I got your back, Colleen.
Oh, thank you. My camp queens are coming out in force. Yes.
The music, the Sweet Charlotte, creepy music.
Chop, chop, Sweet Charlotte.
I mean, like you guys said, though, there were some really good moments to this film. There were some really good things that I think, as JL said, had it gone one way or the other, it could have been a really, really good film.
Yeah.
It was Yolanda that said the opening took forever. Friday Ketchup says Agnes could have landed a little more like death becomes her at the bottom of the stairs. And it is Dark Rose 1870's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Disney Makeup Girl says that she thinks maybe they were taking Charlotte to the nut house. Oh, Miss Bonnie Bailey is here. She's late to the party, but still fabulous. Yolanda said I couldn't tell if she was leaving or going to a mental hospital. That's right, because remember they had the people coming from the mental hospital over that next day. That was when they were gonna. So maybe. Roxy Rocket said a lot of horror type movies at that time period had really weird flat endings. Oh, you love my dress? This one? Ooh, it's a shirt. And Emily said, let's give it up to Bruce Dern for that hand chopping scene.
Yeah. It was so hammy. But it's like, it's coming because he's just like, oh, I'm going to put my hand right here and then be like, so, yeah. And then as he's dying, he's, oh, God, no!
Then Amelia said, I thought the overdubbing of Betty's voice for a young Charlotte in the opening scene was laughable. Emily says she completely agrees with the opening scene with the Civil War dress, the 1960s hair. And Friday Ketchup says, how the heck are you supposed to be dragging a dead guy into your car with a long dressing gown like Olivia's?
Well, Betty was a pro at that at this point in the film game, so she probably gave her a few tips.
Dark Rose loves Colleen's poster. She loves that movie. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know if we could get Heather on board for that one. It's a good one, though.
I think I may have seen that one.
Then maybe we'll have to do it. We'll have to discuss with the boy whether he thinks we could pull it off.
It's fantastic, though.
The Retro Hippie Girl says, such an odd movie. And Blanket Fort Adventure says, the movie sounds so terrible, you're making me want to watch it. I do think it should be watched.
It is that campy.
Absolutely.
Becca, I think you would enjoy it. I think you would enjoy it.
It's a movie everybody has to see once to experience it. Whether you ever see it again, it's totally up to your cinematic style, but it should be viewed at least once in a lifetime.
Yes. Dizzy Makeup Girl said, I always saw it as sort of a fantasy version of the Old South, which, had it been done as a flashback, that would have made more sense to me then, because it would have been like her memory of what that ball was. See, they just needed us on staff to help them out. Who else was nominated that year for it to be even worth a nomination? I don't know, but it did really well at the box office. It was a very well-received film, because I think for its time, and I could be talking out the other end of my body, but I do believe for its time, it did move a bit of that genre forward. And I know the way it was shot, the dramatic and the angles of the way that Aldridge chose to shoot it was new for that time period. So I think it did kind of move things forward. So from our perspective, it probably looks really dated, but for them, not so much. And Miss Margaret is a Mary Margaret, or a Margaret Mary.
Oh, yay.
I must be psychic. Yolanda says, got best film editing too. I could not tell the hand was fake, LOL.
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
And by the way, when we were talking about the blood on the dress, Miss Margaret said, last time I decapitated someone, I got much bloodier. Comment of the night. I still haven't come up with something like that, but Miss Margaret wins comment of the night. Blanket Fort Adventures loves camp, and she's totally down for the experience. And Friday Ketchup said she bought a set of 5 Betty movies.
Cool.
That sounds like a good night to me. All right, so Oh, I guess I kind of like just never mind. I won't. No. See, this is the part about being organized. Sometimes I don't like being organized because of these awkward moments. What do you guys think about this introduction of Gore? I mean, it wasn't really the first time that Gore was done in a film, but do you think that the film needed it? I think we know where JL stands on this, but do you think the film needed the Gore, needed more of the Gore, would have been better off without it? What do you guys think?
Well, like I said, I think it either needed to go kind of one way or the other. I think also that this particular cast didn't really support a campy, gory movie. I think if they had taken this movie and put, I don't know, I almost want to say like B-list actors in it and did it and really like camped up the gore, amped up the campy gore in it, I think it would have been fantastic. But I think you see these actors that are in it and they're such, even at their time, iconic, serious actors that it's like something didn't quite mesh well with the gore. I could have seen this like going way campier, like I said. I mean, they really could have like messed with Charlotte by continuing this sort of like gore, you know, to like really try and make her crazy, because really she was already. They were just trying to make her like, you know, certifiably loony bin crazy. So had they sort of, instead of going like the psychological route, like even if it was fake gore for what they were trying to accomplish, like it needed to go one way or the other, because it was in the beginning scene of the movie, so it didn't have anything to do with the rest of the movie, really. You know what I mean? Like it didn't fit into the rest of the storyline from like she's an adult and they're trying to get her out of the house now. So it's like, do they go psychological? Do they go gore? They like make a fake head, they roll it down the stairs. Like, you know, they could have taken it in another direction with the campy gore, and I think had been a different cast, it would have worked a lot better.
So would you have preferred it to be all camp gore or no camp gore? What direction would you have wanted it to go in?
It depends on how they wrote the story, but I think if they wanted to dabble in it, they needed to just do it. And I think considering kind of the ridiculousness of the storyline anyway, it would have been perfect. Like, let's not psychologically make her crazy. Let's like freak her out and make her crazy, you know? Like, don't have him like playing the piano, fake playing the piano, you know? Like, have like corpse heads of him hidden all over the house. Like, let's really like, you know, do this one up kind of a thing. Like, I think that had they continued it throughout the movie, it would have been a campy, gory film. The way that they had it, it's like sort of campy, sort of psychological, sort of way too long, sort of we don't know what we're doing with this. We had to switch actresses in the middle of everything. Like, we're having Ding Dong the Witch is Dead Coca-Cola parties. We don't know what we're doing over here.
Amelia agrees with JL. The movie either needed to go over the top or no gore or all. Dark Rose says, like, Night of the Living Dead gore or silly gore. Friday Ketchup had a good idea that Quentin Tarantino should do a remake of it.
Oh, no.
She also said, so I guess you could call it a little disjointed, JL. Boom dish.
Boom. Boom.
Roxy also, she said she would have liked it way campier. I like those better than the psychological types. I would have, I see, I'm kind of in the other camp, though I do love like campy horror gore. This type of movie, I love more of the suspenseful horror, the more, I guess, Hitchcockian way to look at things. I I like to be on the edge of my seat and let my imagination take a little bit more of a role in it. And I feel like because they were psychologically manipulating her, I would have liked to have seen it go in that direction. But although I do like Jael's idea of hiding decapitated heads throughout the house. So but I think I'm going to go more Hitchcockian psychological.
Which I do prefer psychological thrillers. I'm just saying, if they were going to do it campy gore, they needed to do campy gore.
Yeah, I feel like they should have ramped that up more. Like, even when Velma finally bites it, I feel like that could have just been way more ridiculous. Like, somebody needed to be swinging a hatchet at her before she, like, fell down the stairs, so there'd be, like, blood smears all the way down the wall, and I could have taken care of it. But yeah, I know.
And I raised another cat.
Mona wants to hang out.
Heather.
I'm missing a cattail.
So, but I think that, yeah, like 4 years before that, I think, yeah, Psycho came out in like, what was it, like 59, 60 or something like that. And I feel like it was much more successful in building suspense and showing you some grody violence without having to go the rubber head route. So I feel like they
1960.
Jen said, okay. So I feel like Jen's got a point there that they could have probably like looked at Hitchcockian horror a little bit, not necessarily to copycat it, but they could have used it in a way to make it a little more plausible if they were going for like a serious horror movie. But the reason I love this movie so much is because it is ridiculous. Like, I love good film, but I also have a huge place in my heart for just ridiculousness. And this one fits that bill. Because it's just like, what?
I tend to agree with that. I think, well, and I think that's the difference between Baby Jane and this film too. Is that Baby Jane has this really subtle psychological element to it that is very serious, and you can read like the layers of the film and you can wonder what's in the minds of the characters, whereas in this film it's all very upfront and loud almost, and so I feel like it needed to be very campy. And I appreciate the fact that you're coming into this new genre of film, and I think it's a cool opportunity. It's almost like special effects now and like digital animation now, to where it was this whole new world for people who may even in the hair and the makeup industry, who hadn't really had the opportunity to do this special effects world. And that could have been a really cool way to use the new technologies and the new, this was like a huge turning point in makeup and in hair. And so it would have been really cool to see that brought to the front a little bit more. But I think, yeah, that's the difference between the two films for me, is that Baby Jane, there's this layered like depth to it that just isn't in this movie.
It's a serious art film as well as being a suspense film.
So I wish they would have played that up.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but Betty Davis' son came out later and said that his mom, Betty Davis, she was not happy with the decapitated head rolling scene, that she thought that it was like vulgar and distasteful. So I don't know if maybe they sort of pulled back from the campy gore because of that. If that's true, it's one of those like, that's what he said, but is it really true kind of things. And so that's why I kind of felt like this, in order to do that with this film, it needed a different cast. It needed actors who would be willing to go that far with the movie. And I don't think that this cast would have stood for that.
It was definitely kind of
They're
a trope.
serious thespians.
It was definitely kind of a trope for that period for horror movies, like the gaslighting psychological horror movie, let's spook the lady to get the house sort of thing, was actually kind of a popular theme. And there were movies like The Screaming Skull and stuff, which were very campy, but also really spooky, that managed to pull that off. But I think, again, yeah, I mean, different actors who were maybe a little more hungry for exposure and willing to do some really ridiculous shit in a movie, whereas like Betty Davis and this whole cast was basically really seasoned actors. So they were a little more prima donna about it.
As they called it in Feud, this was a hagsploitation film.
It's kind of not fair. They're not hags. They're just awesome.
So the question is twofold, because we're getting on 10 o'clock here, is what was your favorite scene in the movie? And who could the film not do without? And who could the film do without? And you guys knew it was coming this time. I will start with who? Okay, Colleen's looking me in the eye, so we'll start with Colleen.
Oh.
She hasn't done enough of these to know to look away from me.
Yeah. Well, definitely my favorite scene in the movie has to be just that ridiculousness where Velma sneaks back into the house and up into Charlotte's room, and she keeps hiding in the closet. So she and Miriam are doing this back and forth because Miriam's like, I know somebody's in there. And so she's trying to dodge her. I'm just like, you're so dumb. Like, the closet was open before. Like, I know you took her coat and stuff, but but that was just hysterical. As for who I think the movie could have done without or who could have been cast differently, I'd have to say Drew, the doctor that's in cahoots with Miriam. He's good, but meh. I think he got shown up by a lot of the other actors. And I hate to say it, I think Olivia de Havilland was good, but I think they could have had somebody else play Miriam.
Who do you think? Who would you choose?
Well, I won't say Joan Crawford because I think that would have just been a shit show. But somebody else who was good at playing like silky villains, like I don't know. Oh God, what's her name? She played Tui in Breakfast at Tiffany's. She was the mistress, Paul Varjak's girlfriend, and she was just so good at being this like cosmopolitan wasp, like venomous, sneaky snake. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Patricia Neal?
Yes. I would have loved to have seen her maybe in that role because I think she could have had that balance between, I can be sweet as sugar, but I'll put a knife in your back first chance I get. So, she's good at that.
Good choice. Good choice. Heather.
Let's see. So, favorite scene, I think I love all of the. I don't have a favorite like scene particularly, although I do kind of love when Miriam first comes to the house and they're having dinner, and that whole scene where Charlotte's like, "Why do you think I invited you here?" And then she asks her what she does, and she says public relations, and she goes, "What is she? Public relations sounds like something dirty to me," or something like that. I think it's hilarious. So I love all the funny moments. There's like the one moment where Drew is walking out to go to like get the wine cellar or something, and just the little actions of Velma in the background of all of the scenes I think are my favorite parts because she's always like mocking them a little bit, and I loved like the way she like mocked everyone in the background. That was like my favorite overarching I think part, and she was just my favorite. I think we all can agree on that. I definitely agree
good at everything.
Yeah, she was fantastic. I Drew, and I think all of the men really in this film took definite second place to all of the female characters. I think there's not one that stands out. I think they're all very forgettable. I kept getting the police officer and Drew confused, even though he was in a uniform. So clearly I could live without any of that. And then if I were to recast, I don't even know. I was watching something, and I want to say that when Joan was moved out, they had considered Vivian Lee. And I think that might have been a really interesting, because she was that Southern, like, Scarlett O'Hara. So it would have been interesting to see her older playing a villainous character. Like, it would almost have been like Scarlett had grown up, and clearly this is what she became, because I believe it. So I think
that it would have matched the Civil War era clothing.
And it would have fit. Yeah, she could have just worn her wardrobe.
Break out the drape dress.
So I think that's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so I just gotta pause real quick because Friday Ketchup said her favorite scene was the planter falling on them, and Miss Margaret says, I do think this movie could have explored why we shouldn't have indiscreet conversations where potted plants can hit you. And then
look up when you're the bad guy.
Yeah. And then Emily says, haha, yes, it's an extremely long PSA warning of the dangers of speaking under planters. Oh, my God. Oh, good God. I need to award things. She should get an award tonight because Miss Margaret is on fire in the comments. And Emily's playing backup. Oh, my God. That's hysterical. JL.
Alrighty.
She's like,
my favorite scene is actually early on when Charlotte wakes up and realizes that they're like tearing down the gazebo, and she gets her gun and she shoots right past the construction worker's head.
Property.
Yeah, and he's like, you could have killed somebody, and she's like, if I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. So that's my favorite scene, basically. As far as recast, okay, I'm slightly torn because I have this fantastic idea on how to recast this movie and make it totally amazing. But I would hate to lose Agnes Moorehead. But I think that this movie needs to be recast with the cast of Beverly Hills 90210 and have Shannon Doherty be Miriam. And hold on, the blonde, what's her name? The dumb
Tori
blonde.
Spelling?
Tori Spelling be Tori Spelling be Charlotte. Because Ian Ziering could be the doctor.
Oh my God.
Luke Perry could have been John. Gets chopped up in the beginning. Brandon, what's his name? Brandon Walsh, the real guy.
Yeah.
He could have been the whatever his name is, the real actor. He could have been the sheriff. And then
the guy from the Peach Pit could have been the father.
Yeah. See, and
but what about Jewel and
Andrea has been Velma.
Yeah, and then Kelly could have been Jewel.
And Kelly could have been Jewel, and it would have been the best campy horror film on the planet.
Oh my God, this is brilliant. Call Quentin Tarantino right now. Because they're getting to the age they would be perfect for these roles.
Right?
My God. It is brilliant. Jason Priestley.
That's it.
Jason Priestley, yes.
Thank you, Emily.
Thanks, Emily. I was just like going
God.
over my head, and I was like, this could have been one of the best films.
Oh my God. Okay, I think JL Rin's recasting tonight. Emily says, can we kickstart this?
Like, it needs to happen.
It needs to happen.
Can you just see Tori Spelling? Like, if you've ever seen her in some of like,
oh my god, I
the
watch
Hallmark
everything.
movies.
I'm obsessed
her
with
Hallmark
Tori
movies.
Spelling.
Like, she would have Charlotte down pat so bad, and you know, like, who's the ultimate biatch but Shannon Doherty? So she would have been Miriam perfectly.
Well, have you guys ever seen that movie that Tori Spelling was in with that chick from, Life Goes On? Where she's like the creepy stalker girl and Tori
familiar.
Spelling is the cheerleader. It was based on a true story, and she winds up stabbed.
It sounds familiar.
Not up.
I feel like I've seen a lot of their like Hallmark.
Oh, I'm
It was definitely one of those. It was like an after-school special kind of thing.
I've not only seen everything Tori Spelling has done, I've watched every reality show she's done as well.
Yeah.
So you a super fan?
No, because I don't know what it is though. I can't. There's something compelling about her that I can't look away. It's the same thing with oh god, the girl that was oh god. She was in a show with the girl who played Kelly in 90210. She had a little breakdown like a while back. Amanda, no, yes.
Oh, Amanda's
Savory?
no, the other one, Amanda. She was a Disney
Yes
girl in the beginning, right?
Oh,
yes,
Amanda
Amanda
Bynes.
Bynes.
Amanda Bynes. It's like Amanda Bynes. I can't.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. So I'm not a super fan because I can't remember any of the things they've been in, but I will watch everything. Guilty pleasures, I guess. I know, and it makes me so sad that Amanda went so, had a little breakdown and everything
Yeah,
because
no, she's really cute.
Blanket Fort Adventure says, Colleen, it's not a unique title. Tori Spelling movie equals death of a cheerleader.
Touche! Touche! I should have remembered that.
No, but I think it was like, remember down in Texas in real life, there was like a mother who had put out a contract on it. So I think it was all based off of that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, this one was another girl from high school. She was like a poor girl and not cool. And then as soon as she murdered the head cheerleader, like all of a sudden she got popular. She got the quarterback and then she got caught. It was ridiculous, and I have to watch it every time it's on.
Yeah. All right. My favorite scene was actually a really, really small scene, and I can't remember what it was that she said because I didn't write it down. But it was that moment, one of those moments where Miriam was walking into the house and Agnes was opening the door. And it was one of those moments where Agnes was like, well, and I just absolutely loved it because it was so perfect. It was so exactly what we would do if, well, maybe not we, but the royal we, meaning me, would do if somebody came in being all uppity and whatever. I'd be like, and I just loved it because it was such like a little real moment in the whole movie. I guess second after that would be the moment where they're burying Agnes's body and she keeps slapping Charlotte. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. And then like the guy coming to the door and the body's just kind of sliding down. Holy. Because I'm like, okay, even if the body fell over and it made a clunk, that really gonna, I don't know. Anywho, who would I recast? I feel like I'm just gonna quickly say it and just be ridiculous because I can't beat JL's recasting of this movie. It is perfection. But honestly, I would have kind of liked to, because I do think you can't recast Agnes, you can't recast Betty. It has to be the Miriam character. Even though I did really like Olivia de Havilland in this because I loved her sugary sweetness. But I would have loved to have seen Marilyn playing that role. Just walking in and killing it, because I would have loved to see her take that like sweet exterior that she played in so many movies and then just turn it around to this intelligent, completely deceptive. This woman has been playing the long game for so long. I mean, I think someone asked earlier, like, what did she know somebody in FX? But yeah, she knew somebody to get this head made. And because she had been planning it out for so incredibly long, it's just love it. And genius. Yolanda says Natalie Wood as Miriam. That would have been a good cast too.
Oh yeah, I can see that. She wasn't dead.
Super well done. Super good. All right, so we are over time tonight. So we are going to start to wrap it up. So I would like to say thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. This was amazing. It was just like a little family here every month, and I love it. I love it so much. So thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. We're going to be back. Ooh, Meryl Streep is Charlotte and Winona Ryder is Velma. Friday catch up. Yeah, Friday Catch Up also said earlier, you got to be careful how loud you talk, otherwise you're going to be pushing up daisies. We are going to be back next month to discuss another movie. What that movie is going to all depend on you guys. Head over to our Facebook page, Classy Chicks Vintage Flicks. JL will be... Did you know this, JL? You're going to be posting once again. She posts up a little post that she'll pin to the top that you guys can put your movie suggestions underneath them. And then in the next couple days, we will gather those together and put up a poll. And whoever is the leader of the poll, that will be the movie that we watch for next month. It probably is going to be somewhere towards, I would say, mid to near end of June, since it is... so late. It's the end of May. So thank you guys so much for bearing with us through.
There are a couple of reschedulings.
Of this month. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to discuss the Feud in its entirety. I think we can all say it was a pretty amazing show. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. I heard the rumor is that next Feud that is coming out is going to be Princess Diana and that dude she married. So very excited about that. And in the meantime, if you guys want, unfortunately, we're gonna lose a lot of these comments in the live stream, which is very sad because nobody's gonna know while we're laughing so hard. But continue the conversation in the comment section of the video after it goes live. So we love hearing you guys. Keep the conversation going there. And as always, if you find that you're going to miss our faces during the between times, I feel like it's like I just said the upside down. If you miss us during the upside down, you can find us on the social media. You can find JL as Modern Retro Girl, Heather as How to Be Fancy, Colleen as Tipsy Vixen, and myself as a Vintage Vanity. And have a great night, you guys, and keep it classy.
Before you shut off, Jen, can you copy and paste the comments from the chat?
No, I cannot.
Okay. All right, never mind. Carry on.
All right, so keep it classy, guys, and thank you guys so much for coming out. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I know, our endings are always, I'm like, I'm going to make it succinct and snappy. No. It's be awkward.
First. Like, you hang up. No, you hang up.
No, you hang up.
You hang up.
You hang up.
Like,
no, you hang up. I like you.
And always, if you go over to the Classy Chicks Vintage Flicks, oh, that's what I wanted to mention too before I go, is Yolanda had just posted up on the page a it is a video of somebody on YouTube that did a scene comparison between Susan Sarandon and Jessica Lange. Because seriously, Sarandon and Lang killed it in the feud. It was amazing. I can't recommend it highly enough. So, Dark Rose, have a very happy birthday tomorrow, and thank you guys for coming out.
Go get in trouble and stuff.
Don't bury any bodies.
No.